So welcome everybody to our latest webinar. We've got a lot of really amazing info to talk to you about today. A lot of great features that we've released throughout this year already that we'll do a little bit of a recap of, and we'll also talk about some upcoming surprises, some major new feature releases that you can expect towards the end of this year as well. So just to take a quick look at the agenda today before I hand it over to my wonderful co-hosts, we'll start out talking a little bit about the history of Workable overall, kind of where we've been and where we're going in the future. We'll move into talking about all those updates that we've released over the past year. I think a little bit over 30 updates that we've launched for you guys, and then we're going to talk a bit more about what's coming up next in the last quarter of this year, some few exciting updates for you guys to keep an eye out for. We will be taking live questions at the end, so you can submit those over on the questions tab on the right side of your screen as we go along as well. But all that out of the way, let me hand it over and we'll begin.
Thanks, Nick, and thank you for everyone joining us today, and for all Workable customers, thank you for your business. As an introduction, my name is Rachel Bates, and I'm responsible for sales and marketing at Workable. I've been here coming up to 2 years now. I'm based in Boston with teams in Athens, London, and San Francisco too. And just to give a little background, I've hired over 350 people in my career. Thankfully, the last 75 have been with Workable, so not only am I responsible for promoting the growth and new customers with Workable, but I'm an avid user of the product myself. A little bit of background on today's session. It's something new for us, but we had 2 sessions in Boston and Athens recently, where we had the sales account management team and customer success join Spyros, our CTO and co-founder, and talk a little bit more about what they're hearing from our customers, about what they're enjoying about the product, feedback we have, as well as learning from the product and engineering side what was upcoming. It was a great session, good conversation. We learned about what was most impactful. So we thought today we're going to cut out the middlemen, go straight to the source, and have that try and recreate that session today with you. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Spyros Magiatis, a co-founder of Workable. Spyros, if you'd like to introduce yourself and perhaps start off with, what caused you to create Workable in the first place.
Sure. So yeah, my name is Spyros. I'm based in Athens, Greece, and I'm very happy to be here with you today to tell you a bit more about Workable and the things we did, we've released recently. So about the history of Workable, with Nikos, my co-founder, we're colleagues. Then we decided to found a company. Nothing very unique about this story. What is unique, I believe, in Workable is our genuine, interest about recruiting and our genuine belief that great teams can make an impact. And this is why we decided to build a recruiting software, a platform to help people do better recruiting. Because at least for me personally, recruiting was my other best task at work. I'm a software engineer. Obviously, I love coding, but the other thing I enjoyed the most at work was, interviewing a great candidate, or the excitement you feel when a strong candidate accepts your offer. Rachel, you're in sales, this feeling. I guess it can only be compared with the feeling you have when you close a great deal as a salesperson. So all these things are fun, and what I never understood was why recruiters constantly complain about hiring managers being unresponsive, not doing what they are supposed to do. And I believe the explanation is simple. Recruiting, apart from fun, is also something that requires a lot of coordination. Did you email that candidate? Did you fill in that scorecard? Did you arrange that interview? And people are terrible at tracking stuff. So when we founded Workable, we had this, vision to take the hassle out of recruiting, give it to the machines that are good at doing the boring stuff, and keep only the fun and impactful part of recruiting for humans. And here we are today, I mean, 6 years later, and I hope the majority of the people here today are sharing this view with me, and they think that Workable has, to a large extent, achieved this objective.
Yeah. So I noticed we call out 2016 and PeopleSearch being released, and for those who don't know, PeopleSearch is Workable's candidate search database. Just got back from HR Tech. We heard a lot about AI and machine learning within the recruitment space. Can you talk a little bit about why PeopleSearch is so significant, and what makes Workable's AI and machine learning, different from what else is in the marketplace?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, our vision, apart from making hire easier, was also to make it more effective. And when you want to make something more effective, you go first for the hard things. And the hardest thing in recruiting is to have many high quality candidates in the pipeline. I mean, so we started around 2016 to build this technology that we call PeopleSearch today, that aggregates data from many opt-in candidate databases and public information from social networks to create the most complete online profiles for hundreds of millions of professionals around the world. And then on top of that, we built the technology that scans through these millions of profiles and find the best matches for the best job, which we believe is, the most powerful tool for recruiters to find candidates and engage them in the process. And the reason I believe our machine learning technology is unique is because basically we have the necessary data to train the machine. AI is not something. There isn't anything magic about AI. All you have to do is to to show the machine what is the right decisions to make, and you give it many of them, and then you have it replicate these decisions. So essentially what we did is we took all this collective knowledge of our customers and we transformed it into a very powerful algorithm, and we gave it back to them to help them do the same thing they do on an individual level at a much larger scale. And we think this will make the recruiting process far more effective. But it is not just that. I mean, PeopleSearch is not just a more open or a more affordable version of LinkedIn Recruiter. The interesting part is once you have this list of possible good matches for a role, then the big question is, what do you do with all these good leads, all these potential candidates? So we are, and we will talk about this later as well today, but our vision is to build the recruiting marketing tools that help our customers target and engage what we up until today call passive candidates, people that are not actively looking for a job. So engage them in the process and convert them to somebody that would potentially be interested for the job.
Yep.
So yeah, in that respect, I believe PeopleSearch is very unique because it does this in a very nice in a way, very smoothly integrated into the process, because it is part of your main recruiting platform and not just an external tool on the side.
Yeah, we've heard from so many customers who say they want to do sourcing and reach out to passive candidates, but perhaps don't have the time or resources to be able to do it. So we'll see some of the product releases and how that allows that it brings that to them through PeopleSearch. Let's look back at the year to date so far. over 30 releases so far this year. 4, I think, stand out. 2, which were sort of really significant on the engineering side, and then 2, which we heard from you, the customers, that really stood out based on things that you wanted and also needed. So we had offer letters, advanced access rights, and then scheduling and GDPR. If we start with offer letters, this is, another one of the parts of the recruitment process that was previously being done outside of Workable, and now we brought it into Workable. So customers are now able to create, track offer letters with e-signatures, salary informations, and approvals. Spyros, why was this such a big deal from the engineering side?
So in Workable, we have this product design philosophy that doesn't require from you to change the way you work. And you can be a large enterprise that requires, 3 people to sign off an offer before it is sent to the candidate. Or you can be a small business owner that wants to make the offer a little bit more official and may have a nice attachment, a PDF attachment with the offer, and maybe even require the digital signature of the candidate, and you can still use the same feature. And this is always the biggest challenge when you design software. On top of that, we in Workable, we hate, having our customers repeat their work again and again. So we try to use templates whenever it is possible. And specifically for offer letters, we took that to the extreme. We let our customers define different letters for different locations or different departments. Imagine you can have a sales department where the offer has a compensation plan, a commission plan. So you can have many different versions of the offer, or you can have different offices around the world, different salaries, even different currencies. And we put, significant effort on doing this as easy and seamless as possible, so that when you are about to send the offer, the right template pops up, and all you need to do is just fill in the details.
Yeah. No, it's made life a lot easier to have it all within the system. Let's talk about the next release, access rights. We heard for over a year how much our customers and our sales team needed access rights. What is, my favorite, the confidential zone? What is access rights, and why is it so complex?
Okay, I must tell you that, access rights is the hell of every developer in the world. I mean, it's one of the toughest problems in software design, just because each customer has very different expectations. I mean, let's take salary information, for example. For some, it's very sensitive. Some, go nuts about this. They want only the CFO and the hiring manager to know about the salary they put in an offer letter. There are other companies that publish this information even for their existing employees. So you understand how diverse the needs of the customers are. And one option that we've seen many, software tools do is to hand this, throw this all this complexity off the wall to the customer, make it supposedly configurable, but let the customer figure out how to configure it right. And you know what? 90% of the time, when there is an information link, it's not a bug in the software itself. It's because due to a misconfiguration of the system. So we never want to pass this complexity to the customer, and we try to make it very flexible, but at the same time easy to set up. So here, the confidential zone, for example, what you see is the pipeline, and we know that beyond the interview stage, at the offer stage, people start talking about salary information and other sensitive data. So what we did is we built a slider that let you define where the confidential discussions start, and from that point and on, all the communication with the candidate and the comments between the hiring manager and the recruiter are confidential, so the interviewers or any other member of the account that has access to the job cannot see this information. So you have all these little details that you make to, to make it easier for the customers, that make it complex for the developer.
Well, thank you. I think the customers happy to see it, and the way it's rolled out is very workable styled. Switching gears to something a little bit more exciting,
which I'm sure is your favorite feature of the year.
This is my favorite feature, but the one it's impacted my life, and we've heard from many customers that it's impacted theirs, is scheduling, and the improvements we've made to that. So this is, can change your world tomorrow type release. The first part was the ability to do multi-part interviews. So previously I would have a 2-hour block on my calendar, and now when I'm only meeting with the candidate for 30 minutes, and now that's all managed within Workable. And then the second thing is the self-scheduling ability from the candidate side. The relief that we're hearing from customers about the time saved and the impact that it's having, and overall better candidate experience has just been phenomenal. It's the fastest ever adopted feature on Workable. It just got released on mobile last week, so happy scheduling, everyone. I think it literally brings smiles to the faces. Let's look at something a little bit more serious here. This also came from our customers. We started hearing a year ago about GDPR and the impact it had on the recruitment process. For those of you not familiar with it, it was introduced by the EU, came into effect in May 2018, and it's a new law that aims to strengthen people's rights to privacy and protect their personal data. With candidate information, when you have personal data, it becomes a little bit complicated. How do you manage it? Typically customers would have either large databases or using manual methods such as emails and spreadsheets. So we started hearing about it a year ago. We introduced GDPR features, I think, in March of this year. Spyros, can you tell me a little bit more about, the management, how we thought we could help our customers manage GDPR, and, what makes this different from some other offerings out there?
First of all, for everyone, as a user, data privacy is becoming more and more important, concern. So GDPR is totally understandable why it was so important for the customers, candidates, for everyone. But I'm afraid the majority of the vendors out there spend more time on writing blog posts about how important GDPR is than doing the actual work to help the user stay compliant. Because one thing is to make your software compliant. Make sure that when data are deleted, there is no trail left in the system. And it's a completely different story to help your customer be compliant. So what we try to do with GDPR is not just to make sure that we are compliant, but also guide the user through the process. So all you have to do at Workable is to set up your data retention policy once, like how many months you want the profiles to stay in the system and some other details like that. And we take care of the rest completely automatically. And I think this is what made the difference in this feature. And this is why, although it sounds like a very boring thing, customers love the implementation we have.
Yeah, and I think something like 60% of all of our pro customers have implemented the GDPR features, which lets them get on with recruiting. Let's switch gears and talk about the upcoming releases. This is the exciting times. So before the end of the year, we're going to have there's going to be 4 major releases: Workable Campaigns, a redesign to help customers find people, and then 2 new add-ons, Workable Community and Workable Hiring Plan. Let's start with Workable Campaigns. This goes back to our original conversation around people search. Can you tell us a little bit more about, why is this so significant, and how we think that this Workable Campaigns can help our customers?
So, as I said in the beginning, we started with people search technology to build a search engine. So the first release we had was, the ability to search with keywords or even search by the name of a specific candidate and get their profile. The next step was to automate this and don't even, request from the customers to provide, from the users to provide the terms of the query. We just read the job description, we identify what are the critical parts of it, and we find the right candidates for that job. But then the next logical thing to consider is, what do you do with all these profiles? Keep in mind that we are talking about passive candidates here, people that are not actively looking for a job most of the time. So you'd expect a very low response rate, right? I assume that 1% response rate is great. So even if you say even if you send, let's say, 100 personalized emails, you will still get back one answer. So this is not scalable. So we try to take this list of very good possible matches with a job, great candidates in theory, and engage them in the hiring process. And we believe that the least intrusive way to do so is to go to where everybody goes, social media, and advertise. Targeted advertisements just to that audience, and try to engage them in the process only with a click of a button. So this is what social campaigns is about. Take the advanced people search technology we have and do extremely targeted advertising on social media to engage passive candidates in your hiring process.
And what makes this, people we've heard from customers who might be doing recruitment on social media. What makes this different from perhaps people who've done target campaigns before?
Well, in social media, basically, you can do targeting with demographics or look-alike. But look-alike is, the fact that we go to the same kind of movies, or the fact that we live in the same, or we are, I don't know, around the same age, doesn't mean anything about recruiting. So in social media, except for LinkedIn, there is no professional information about the user usually. So you simply don't have enough data to do precise targeting. And we do that offline with people search, and then we target only the candidates we believe are relevant. This is a very unique product. We haven't seen anything like that in the market.
Yeah. And we've seen all sorts of results based on the beta experiences, from mid-level BI candidates in London, or targeting remote workers in Dubai, and then even roles that you perhaps wouldn't find on LinkedIn, such as like a nail technician. For customers who are interested, it's going to be available on all plans by the end of October. It will cost $499 to run a campaign, and you can expect to receive 10 to 20 qualified candidates within a week of running the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the next major update, which is the redesign of finding candidates. What was the thought behind the redesign?
So as I said also in the beginning, we think that the most important problem to solve in recruiting is to help companies find candidates, high quality candidates. So over the years, we've built almost any possible method to attract candidates. Whether you want to buy a premium posting or use the free job boards that are syndicated with Workable, you can do it. If you want to use recruiters, or even if you want to run a referral program, you can still do it. The problem was with these features so far is they were kind of hidden inside the interface because we've built all this organically. And now we have redesigned completely the advertise page of a job to have all the possible options available, on a single screen. And I mean, a very common problem in recruiting that most people haven't thought of is that bad decisions are made because of bad timing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start slow and you only engage a few candidates in the process, you will probably make the right. You will probably decide to pass, on some good candidate in the hope that you will find somebody better in the future. Or tell me Rachel, how many times you have received a good application the day after you send an offer to someone and you wish to have this option before. So I strongly recommend to everyone to try all possible ways at the same time and be in a position to have all possible options at the same time. Because if you have all the options available, most likely you will make the right decision. I don't believe judging, who's best fit for a job is so hard, so long as you have all the available options, at the same time. And this is what we're trying to solve with the redesign of the advertise step of the job.
It's fantastic. And this will be available to all customers by the end of this month. And so we make sure that you're doing all the possible things to find and recruit candidates that within 10 minutes, basically. So let's move on to the first Workable add-on, which is Workable Community, which is going to be available by the end of the year. We've got customers in our beta program right now. Spyros, what is Workable Community?
So, Rachel, I'm sure you have experienced it yourself as well, but I think everybody else also knows that referrals are the best candidates, right?
Yep.
I mean, every research you will read about recruiting says the same thing, that referrals are, on average, the best performing and employees, and they tend to stay longer with a company. The reason companies don't rely on referrals much is because the way it's usually run in an organization is not very scalable. And what we try to do with community is to build a platform for any employee in the company, not just the Workable users, to have access to all the job openings of the company, and basically do three things: either recommend somebody by providing their resume or by using people sets to find their profile and then refer them, share these job openings to social media, to their friends, and let them apply for a job, or even apply themselves, because sometimes, the best candidate is already working for you, only in a different position. So we build community to turn the workforce of a company to a recruiting machine for the company. And that's why I believe this new add-on will be very successful, because people really need it. And all you need to do is to somehow have the process online and make it easy for everyone.
Yeah, and it's two special types of candidates: the referral and the internal candidates justify their own process, which makes sense. Last but not least, we're going through this internally. I smile each time we go in because it's so painful. Normally, this is another idea of bringing things which are typically done outside of Workable as part of the hiring process within the tool, and this brings us to the hiring plan. Think this is the one that's going to make your finance person happy too. Spyros, do you want to talk a little bit more about what the thought behind the hiring plan and what will it do?
First of all know what a pain is to build a hiring plan, right? It's part of the budget. You have to plan ahead for about how many people you want to hire. Just to make the prediction is hard. Imagine how to manage the process on top of it, how harder it makes the whole thing. So in Workable, we have this measure of success for us. That the smaller the number of spreadsheets you have in order to run the process, the better job we do as Workable to help you do your recruiting. And I believe the hiring plan was probably for most of our customers the last spreadsheet they had on the side, along with a Workable account. But I mean, no matter how flexible or customizable a spreadsheet is, the biggest problem you have with a hiring plan is that it is a live document that evolves over time. So you start with a list of requisitions that you want to make in 2019, let's say, and I bet that by the end of 2019, this list will look very, very different. You lost some people and you had to replace them. Sometimes you had to go over budget in order to hire a good candidate, or you were, it took you longer to fill a role because it was difficult to find someone. And all these things are not in sync with your initial hiring plan that, was stored in a spreadsheet somewhere in your drive. And we believe that it makes a lot of sense to have this along with the rest of your recruiting efforts in sync and easy to manage. So we build this hiring planner that it is almost as easy and flexible as a spreadsheet, but it is live and connected with your linked with your Workable account to reflect all the changes that happen in your hiring plan. And this is why I hope
I think I've probably had 5 emails during the time we've been on the phone asking questions about confirming salary and start dates or the number of salespeople we're hiring. So having a single source of truth that we can just all reference would be amazing to me. I'm so excited about this. So in conclusion, it's pretty exciting. We've got, 2018 has been a pretty big year for Workable with over 30 releases. We've shared four of the biggest with you today: offer letters, GDPR, access rights, and scheduling. The major upcoming ones, just as a refresher, campaigns and find people will be live before the end of this month, and then Workable Community and hiring plan will be able to purchase before the end of the year. I think we've got some time now to wrap up with some questions. Nick, do you want to start off?
Absolutely, guys. Feel free to send questions over in the chat. We do have a few to kick off here. A couple of questions just to start out. In particular, for those newer features, a few people here asking about kind of the pricing for community and hiring plan, and what sort of plans that might be available on.
Yep, I can take this. So for Workable Community and the hiring plan, both are available as add-ons if you have the Workable Pro plan. The community will sell between 6,000 and 10,000, but customers who purchase by the end of the year will be able to get promotional pricing between 3,000 and 5,000, and the range is based on the number of employees that you have. And then secondly, the Workable hiring plan is also available to our pro customers as an add-on, and we expect to sell this between 3,000 and 5,000 depending on the number of employees.
Awesome, very cool. Looks like we have a few more questions coming in. There's another one here, kind of asking about the campaigns feature that we were talking about, and sort of trying to get a better understanding of the difference between Workable Campaigns and outright buying an ad on Facebook. Sort of what's the difference between those options?
Rachel,
Okay.
I can take that, I think. So if you go to Facebook, you can, set up a campaign based on some demographic information about the audience or their preference about things that Facebook is aware of, for instance. And then you can run that campaign and basically target people that based not on their professional skills, their work experience, or their education most of the times, but based on other information that is pretty much irrelevant. As I said before, with people search, you can have a very targeted audience because we have all the professional information, the skills, education for those persons, and then we target only those on Facebook. We've run several experiments, and they all proved that our campaigns are twice or maybe 3 times more effective at the 1/3 of the cost.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that's a really neat feature for people to check out. And let me see here. It looks like we've got one last question we'll take for today. Someone asking here about the self-scheduling feature that we were talking about, where candidates can book time on your calendar to set up the interview a little bit more easily. People wondering, this person wondering if the candidate, when they're booking, can they see the whole calendar? Sort of how does that work for them booking the event?
Spyros, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can take that. So the way it works is, first of all, regardless of your calendar settings, we only show if you are busy or not, and not what exactly are you doing, even if you have your calendar public. But on top of that, we let you select which hours of the day and which days of the week you would be available for an interview. And we have the intersection of that with your schedule, and we only show the available slots to the candidate. So to answer this question, no, we don't show the whole calendar, only the slots that you would consider for having an interview.
Cool. Yeah, I think it makes it pretty easy for candidates to, book those own events, and it works pretty much like you'd expect without surfacing those like extra private details or anything crazy like that. I think that will do it for today for the presentation. Thank you guys so much for sharing all of that info. I do see a few more questions coming into the chat. If we weren't able to get to you, do stick around just another minute. We'll get right back to you. You can also contact your account manager anytime through the phone numbers you see on your screen for a bit more information. And the support team's also available to help out if you need any more detail on anything we discussed today. So I really appreciate everybody joining here today. Keep an eye out in your email for the full recording of this if you joined a little bit late. But other than that, I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Take care.